Hello, everyone. Jason here with Phase Shift Games. This is actually the first live stream on YouTube. Usually, we've done live streams on Facebook Live. We did a little bit of Twitch. So this is partially a test, and then I thought I'd also kick off a series that's kind of been occurring to me that might be of interest. A game design thoughts. I have these random shower thoughts or whatever, and I keep thinking to myself, I would love to just kind of put this out there and see what other people think and just chronicle it a little bit. So I'll double this up. Testing the YouTube live. And B, getting the first of this series out there. The reason I want to test YouTube Live out is, like I said, we've done Facebook Live a lot. Not everyone has Facebook, especially the newer generations. And Twitch, we did a lot of during the UK Games Expo last year, and that was cool. But Twitch it seems like it's just a little bit more, I don't know, transient. Like videos come in, they go out. It's not as permanent an archive, and I think that's why a lot of publishers choose to focus on YouTube as their primary live channel. And then we can, of course, cross-post it to Facebook. So I wanted to test this out. It seems like the stream is working. If anyone wants to chat, ask me a question, feel free to post it in there. So let's get into my first thought. I had this thought recently from game design perspective. So I'm a publisher. I'm also a game designer. And I'm always thinking from all the different angles. But I had this thought. I was reflecting back on a lot of the game design efforts over the decade and a half that I've been doing it. And one of the things that occurred to me that Matt, my Geek Fever Games partner, and I would always talk about as we're designing games is, we're working on this game model, and we'd always be thinking in terms of how can we remove a die roll? Like, oh, if we make that decision, that'll remove another die roll, as though that's a good thing. And recently, I've been dwelling on this for some reason. I'm working on another game, and maybe that's part of why it's like I have these reflections in my brain of these old conversations where we said, oh, it'd be great if we did something where we could remove another die roll. And I'm like, why is that of interest? Why do we want to remove die rolls? Dice rolling is great. It's fun. It's part of many games that are out, not most, many games. So I'm like, why? What's the difference? And I think I landed at a key distinction. If you take a game like King of Tokyo or Elder Sign or many others that are out there, they're dice rolling games at the core, right? You're rolling these big chunky dice and you're seeing what the results are, and then you're deciding which ones to keep and where to put dice and then re-rolling others. There's a whole, it's not only is it central to the game, which is a piece of the puzzle, but it's where the decisioning is happening. It's where decision making is happening. You have agency over the dice rolling. It is the fun of the game. It's the fun of the dice roll and the outcome and the decisions that you can make from it. Versus plenty of other games I've designed as well, where the dice rolling is just a random number generator. It's just, roll a die. If it's 5 or better, then you do the thing. Well, that's a functional requirement. That's not an experiential dice rolling. I don't know if that's the right word to use. It's the word I'm going to use right now. It's the difference between functional and experiential. So you have a lot of these cases where you have to roll a die just to see, did I reach a threshold? And maybe you have an item or a skill that reduces your 5+ to a 4+. So you have a slightly better chance to do it, but it's still just rolling a die and seeing, did you succeed? So if that's all it is, there's no decision making. There's no strategy as to how to roll the die. You just roll the die. And then if there's nothing to do with it, then all it is just seeing if you succeeded at something. That's a random number generator. That's just one of a million ways to do it. And I want to cross now to another thought that's very similar, which is card drawing, which could be both of those same things. It could be functional. It could be experiential. And so you can imagine plenty of games out there, deck building games, prime example. So you got Clank and Dominion and all these great deck builders where the drawing is exciting because that's in my hand and I'm going to be able to manage my hand and play my cards in certain ways. And I'm going to manage my deck and put new cards into the deck. And then when I draw, I might get those new cards. That's experiential. That's fun. You have agency there. You have decision making. It's part of the game. It's all of this is part of the game, even the functional stuff, but it's meant to be the game. It's meant to be the fun of the experience versus plenty of other cases where drawing a card is just a functional requirement. It's like every round, at the end of the round, draw a card and see what it says, read it and do whatever it says. There's no intrigue other than the writing on the card perhaps, but there's no strategy, there's no choice, there's no decision making that comes out of it. It's just a functional requirement. At the start or at the end of every round, draw a card. That's not fun. I think of games. I remember recently on some podcast, I watch a lot of the Dice Tower. I watch Tom Vassell and his team all the time. And he had made the comment, I think, in some podcast where he said, I don't like games that have like a standard event. I forget how he said it, but something to the effect of if it's like every round there's an event, meaning every round you draw a card. This is the event this round. And it does whatever it does. And it's just kind of global and it just sits there. Maybe it affects everyone can't do something or can do something. And it's more of this just, I'm not going to speak for him. I can't possibly, but my suspicion is that it's something along these lines, that it's more of just this functional thing that happens. It's not giving the players something interesting to do. It might change the environment a little bit, which of course is good in some ways. Again, versus other games where let's take a popular game. I don't happen to love it myself, but that's for other reasons. Popular game, Dead of Winter. Every round at the start of, or every turn at the start of the turn, the player to your left or right, I forget, draws what's called a crossroads card. So it sounds functional at first. Sounds like, yeah, every round you're just drawing this card and it affects the other player's turn. But it presents a very intricate scenario. A very experiential story comes out of it as you read the crossroads card. And most of them have some concrete choice that's part of it. So this card drawing is standardized across turn over turn, but there's something definitive that comes out of it. Not only the player whose turn it is, but I think most players usually get a choice as to how they're going to participate in this crossroads event that's been drawn. So maybe that's an example of an event system done right, where there's more meat to it. It's not just draw a card, all players can walk over water this turn because it's been turned to ice. That's it's interesting to one level, but it's just a global thing. There's no real, there's nothing else about the card draw. So anyway, I just had these random thoughts. This was my first of the series of game design thoughts. I'm deep in a game design right now. And so like I said earlier, I was coming back to these thoughts over the years of, how can I remove another die roll? To solve this thing, roll 2 dice, and based on the outcome, you determine if you succeeded or failed. That's not interesting enough. Things have to be more interesting than that. The dice rolling has to be a real integral part of the game where there's actual choice that comes out of it, as opposed to just seeing what the results are and that's it. So anyway, I think a successful initial live stream. Thanks for those who attended, and we'll be doing more of these. Take care. Bye-bye.